Welcome to Literary Journeys Across Africa. Today we're exploring a powerful collection of poetry born from political imprisonment and resilience, The Chattering Wagtails of Mikuyu Prison by Malawian poet Jack Mapanje. Published in 1993, this collection of 45 poems tells the harrowing story of Mapanje's arrest, his 3.5 years of detention without charge at Mikuyu Maximum Detention Center, and his life after prison. The poems are organized into 4 sections, namely, Another Fool's Day Homes In, Out of Bounds, Chattering Wagtails, and The Release and Other Curious Sights. Mapanje's imprisonment came after the reprinting of his first poetry collection, Of Chameleons and Gods, a work that dared to criticize the authoritarian regime of his country. From the very beginning in the prologue, darkness forebodes the journey we're about to take. Mapanje writes,
Laughters and ceaseless tears shed in the chaos of invented autocracies, now darkly out of bounds beyond.
In the first section, Mapanje reveals himself as a keen observer of society, using metaphor to critique corruption and exploitation. In Haggling Old Woman at Balaka, he uses the image of women trading their valuable resources for trinkets as a metaphor for how the country's political elite were exchanging national resources for superficial gains.
You sell chicken eggs for Cokes and Fantas to suckle your babies, then you ask me why your babies are rickets and ribs.
He continues this critique, observing how the powerful build brick houses on old women's dying energies. In For Another Village Politburo Projected, Mapanje directly addresses the politicians who manipulate the masses.
Hyenas with the guilt of our skulls behind will tumble in chicken bones fattened by the meager women of this village.
But Mapanje doesn't spare the citizens who remain silent either. He criticizes those who keep the pain on the periphery of their senses. And in When the Shire Valley Dries Up Patiently, he writes,
The crime is how we deliberately keep out of touch, pretending it has nothing to do with us. We've been through it all.
In the second section, Out of Bounds, Mapanje becomes even more daring in his social commentary. He exposes the harsh realities faced by the poor, particularly women whose husbands have been sent to work in mines.
The wives survive by their wits and sweats, shoving dead cassava stalks into rocks, catching fish in tired Kitanja cloths with kids, picking baobab fruit and whoring.
His use of the word whoring, repeated throughout the collection, was particularly provocative in a society where discussion of sexual matters was taboo. In The Farm That Gobbles the Land at Home, inspired by Kofi Awunor's The Sea Eats the Land at Home, Mapanje critiques the exploitation inherent in so-called economic development.
One farmer gathers smaller farmers into wets, wage-earning tenants, offering them 30 coins per day. Stopping their mixed planting cheap original ashes or compost manures are banned, to maximize profits. And fertilizers, only farms can afford, imposed.
One of the most haunting poems in this section is Out of Bounds, or Our Maternity Asylum, which describes an overcrowded maternity ward.
60 inmates of spasming women top and tail. On 30 beds, 90 others with infants scramble over the cracked cold cement floor. A family under each bed, most in between.
The third section, Chattering Wagtails, brings us into Mapanje's experience of imprisonment. Here, he describes the dehumanizing treatment of being stripped naked like a common criminal, the fear for his family left outside, and the betrayal by those who once claimed to love him, but now avoid his family out of fear of government reprisal. The title poem, The Chattering Wagtails of Mikuyu Prison, finds Mapanje developing a relationship with the birds whose droppings he was forced to clean daily. He laments how real criminals are often released quickly while political prisoners like himself remain behind bars for years. The final section begins with The Release. Who are you, Mbongi? Describing Mapanje's release after international pressure from fellow writers and activists. But freedom doesn't mean silence for the poet. In the straggling mud huts of Kirk Range, he continues to observe and critique.
Straggling shackscape, a chaperone and a boy defiantly declare their UNHCR wares beside the highway. Tins of butter from European community mountains, paraffin glass lanterns from Mozambique and gallons of American cooking oil, bantering for the much-needed dry fish the donors overlooked.
A recurring term in Mapanje's work is accidentalized, which he defines as to kill and pretend it was an accident when everybody knows it was not. This word first appears in the opening section and returns in the final poem, The Deluge After Our Gweru Prison Dreams, suggesting that despite his release, the cycle of oppression continues. Mapanje's collection reads like a circle, with no clear beginning or end. The same truth-telling that led to his imprisonment continues in his poetry after release. Had he not left Malawi, he might have faced rearrest or been accidentalized like others who dared to speak truth to power. The chattering wagtails of Mikuyu prison stands as a testament to poetry's power as political resistance. Mapanje's ability to encode critique within metaphor allowed him to speak about oppression even under censorship, and his continued commitment to truth-telling reminds us of literature's vital role in the fight for freedom. Jack Mapanje taught in Malawian secondary schools before joining the department at Chancellor College, University of Malawi in 1975, first as a lecturer, then as head of the Department of English. He holds a Bachelor of Arts and Diploma in Education from the University of Malawi, and Masters of Philosophy in English and Education from the Institute of Education London, and a PhD in Linguistics from University College London, which he completed in 1983. His first collection of poems, Of Chameleons and Gods, was published in the UK in 1981, but was withdrawn from bookshops, libraries, and all institutions of learning in Malawi in June 1985. He was imprisoned without trial or charge by the Malawian government in 1987. Despite campaigns for his release by prominent writers and human rights activists including Harold Pinter, Wole Soyinka, Susan Sontag, and Noam Chomsky, he was not freed until 1991. The poems in the chattering wagtails of Mikuyu prison were composed while he was imprisoned, as were most of his third collection, Skipping Without Ropes, published in 1998. Jack Mapanje later moved to York, England, and taught creative writing and literature of incarceration in the School of English at the University of Newcastle upon Tyne. His book, The Last of the Sweet Bananas New and Selected Poems, was published in 2004, followed by Beasts of Nalunga in 2007. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the chattering wagtails of Mikuyu prison. If you've been moved by Jack Mapanje's story and poetry, please share this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us next week for another literary journey across Africa.